Hey everyone, Brian of China Crypto Blog. It's been a while, but things have been going on. So this morning I was thinking about how several months ago, a couple months ago maybe, I did a video where I shared my observation of how the price of Bitcoin is slowly being separated, is being factored by other things other than say the 4-year cycle. It's being subject to macroeconomic and personal economic factors, the world at large. As it goes mainstream in adoption, the people and the communities and the entities that adopt its use, well, all the things that factor into the decisions they make are now the factors affecting Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin. And it hit me this morning that it's the same for all of the usage tokens, all of the network tokens, all of the wrapped Bitcoin, everything else blockchain based that's not Bitcoin is subject to the same rules. As that slowly gets more adoption, or I should say, as it gets more adoption, those communities, those people, those individuals, the things that factor and play into the motivations, the incentives that affects their decision making and their worlds will be the things that have more and more of an influence on the prices and the demand and the application and the usage of all the other tokens out there running on a blockchain. And when I made this observation, it also struck me that things like, let's say, platform tokens, Ethereum, Avalanche, Cardano, et al. We're a long way off from them being really mainstream. If you look at prices right now, prices historically would move in unison. Bitcoin would go up and down, and then all the other tokens prices would follow suit. Hence, because of this dynamic, that's where we got the term, it's altcoin season. And one factoring influence anyway. And as Bitcoin is, well, as all these tokens, as all these networks, as all these protocols start gaining a wider audience of adoption and usage, those factors that the people and the entities and the communities in those protocols, that's going to affect the pricing. That's going to affect the demand. That's why if you think of, it'd be like the stock market, there's general trends. The rising tide lifts all boats. In a bull market, in a bear market, the water recedes and things pull down, but it doesn't mean everything does. Things move cyclically. If it's a growing industry, being in a bear market might have a dampening effect on the price of a stock. And conversely, it could be a rising bull market, but if a company is run like garbage, those negative factors are going to pull down the stock price. Same thing with blockchain tokens. Price of Bitcoin can rise, but that doesn't necessarily mean, if it rises, if that lifts the sentiment or is also a mirror of sentiment, that doesn't mean that network tokens have to follow suit. Some things can get widescreen adoption. Look at Zcash. That thing was rising like crazy this year, and Bitcoin and the general market was going sideways. So, but it made me realize that I think about the Bitcoin journey and how people that were early adopters had to have fortitude and or some vision to be able to hold on to it as adoption grew. And I think that the same factor applies for the mindset with all the altcoins, all the network tokens that, like Ethereum. I'm looking at the price of Ethereum the other day. Actually, the other day I was looking at some historical pricing. I went on like one of the archive sites, and I was going back to April and May of 2014. April of 2014, there were a total of 20 tokens, 20 blockchain-based tokens in existence. By May, that had ballooned to like 45. Today, at the end of 2025, that number is around 18,000 and change. So what a difference a decade and change makes. But I was looking at, the Bitcoin journey, and I'm thinking, prices are going sideways. Ethereum, its high was in a previous cycle. Well, I think it did touch it. I don't remember. I don't track Ethereum's price that closely. But the price, it hasn't surpassed its previous cycle's high. It's not like Bitcoin that kind of forever up. Ethereum is in a sideways seesaw with big jags and drops. So are the other network tokens. I can think of Cardano. Cardano is the same way. And it makes me think that for what is being built on these networks, how these applications are being used, there's still time. There's still a ways to go before there's that critical mass that really drives up the demand and the value, the corresponding value represented in price of these tokens. So it's a waiting game and hoping that things that come to pass do come to pass. Use cases, application, adoption, conversation, evolving and refinement of the protocols. So we'll see. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share. Thoughts in my mind. Hope everyone out there is doing well. You can follow Tiny Crypto Blog at the social media sites listed in the show notes. And with that, be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.